I now hand the conference over to Mr. Bimal Giri of IDFC Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Welcome to the Q3 FY21 IDFC investor call. I have with me Sunil, Mahendra, and Bipin. The results have been shared with you and also uploaded on our website. Some of the statements in today's discussions may be forward-looking in nature and hence may involve risks and uncertainties. I now invite Sunil for his comments.
Thank you, Vimal. Hope you all are safe and well. I will do a quick update and let's have a bit more of Q&A so that we can answer some of the questions. Let's start with the bank. The bank continues to progress well on retailizing both assets and liabilities. See, our overall strategy for the bank has been retailization, if there is such a word in English. But that has been the focus. More the retail deposits, more sticky and the good foundation of the bank. Retail, most of the data the bank has been very transparent and it has put up on its IR's website, but I'll just capture a few important ones. Retail assets at INR 66,665 crore constitute 65% of the loan assets. 65%. When we had merged with Capital First, I think it was 70, 75, or if not at that time, almost 70-odd% in wholesale assets. So there's been a good progress in retailization of the asset side. CASA deposits alone are at 40,563 crore, resulting in a CASA ratio of 48%. NIM has now improved to 4.65%. Capital adequacy is at 14.3%. Number of branches, the distribution network is at 576. There are a lot more details in the IR part of the bank, so I hope you can go and have a look at it. Also, one important point I do want to share is we, that is IDFC Limited, is on Ind AS. It's a different accounting system, IFRS, Ind AS, whereas the bank is on IGAP. The Q3 FY21 PAT for the bank under Ind AS, which is applicable to IDFC Limited, was a loss of 620 odd crores as against a reported IGAP profit of 130 crores. So from plus 130 to minus 620 odd, 626. On the consolidated basis, it comes to about 620. Now, what is it which is causing this swing? The main purpose or the main line item, there are actually 15, 20 of them. We have this issue of a line item, various line items, but the one main line item which is causing the swing is essentially on the amount of expected credit losses on advances under Ind AS. Let me take a second. Can you just hold on for a second? There is some confusion right now because in this COVID times, there's a lot of echo coming. Can you just hold on for a second? I can hear my own voice. Sorry for the interruption. Yeah. So as I was saying, the expected credit losses under Ind AS is calculated differently. However, the bank has been transparently shared what is called a pro forma NPA. Many banks have shared it, including our bank. So under the reported NPA is around 1.33 gross, but the pro forma NPA was 4.18%. So under Ind AS, and this is all because of the Supreme Court decision. So that is a large swing item. We've never had such a big swing item. That's why I've spent a few seconds out here trying to explain. Different accounting standards give a different picture. And under Ind AS, we have a loss of almost 626 crores in the bank. So that's all about the bank. Secondly, on our AMC. Our AMC continues to do well. The AUM is now 1.2 lakh crore. In that range, slightly above that, with a stable market share of over 4%. The market rebound in the equity section led our equity AUM improvement. Our fixed income, we delivered a strong AUM growth led by non-cash debt. Remember, we are focused on non-cash debt and equity, and all of that has resulted in a profitability because of the operating leverage of a PAT of 41 crores. We now have a quarterly run rate of 40 plus PAT. Okay, our AMC franchise is strong, and with supportive markets, we expect to continue to do well. Now coming on to the strategic aspect of IDFC Limited. We are committed, I want to repeat, we are committed to create shareholder value through unlocking. We repeat, our strategy is unchanged. However, the only thing is that we work in a regulated environment. In financial services, regulators play a very important role. What the regulator, or specifically as far as RBI goes, RBI had constituted an internal working group, and that IWG gave recommendations. These are recommendations. They have then invited comments from public, and as of Jan 15, that was the last day to put in the comments. We have received a lot of comments. We have also given our comments. But these are recommendations. This process was also followed. They were giving out banking licenses in 2013 or so. Anyway, the point is these are recommendations and not operating guidelines. So at this point in time, we are in touch with Reserve Bank, but we don't know the timelines by which Reserve Bank is going to issue the guidelines. It could be 1 or 2 weeks, or it could be 1 or 2 months further. So timeline is not known, just a few months here and there. But what is absolutely firm and unwavering focus we have is to ensure that our commitment to create shareholder value is steadfast, and we are focused on that. That's where we are going. Our strategy is unchanged. Regulatory, as soon as it's like this, I'm giving a comparison. It's like you're sitting on an airplane with the seat belts, but you still need the ATC approval to take off. So that is where we are. Other than that, everything is moving smoothly in our strategic direction. And I guess I'll now stop and open it up for you all to ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin with the question and answer session. Anyone wishing to ask a question may please press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Manish Bakshi, a retail investor. Please go ahead. Manish, your line is in the talk mode. Please go ahead. Mr. Manish, your line is in the talk mode. Please go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Thanks. Good morning. My first question was, I saw that the approval for capital reduction actually came through. So, but is there any action item that comes out from that, or that's just an approval and we can't really act on it? And secondly, I want to know whether, as of today, are we eligible to sell 25% of the bank stake? And if yes, then till when do we actually plan to just wait for RBI guidelines? And do we have a time limit and say that, if the guidelines, new holding structure does not come through by this date, then we will take our own course of action and see what can we do with the 25% stake that we can actually sell?
So good questions, opening questions. So yes, capital reduction approval has come, but no action is planned as of now. It's just a reduction because we still believe that the RBI guidelines will come out in a favorable outcome, and we'll do it from that. What we have been sharing, that the collapse structure is going to be the most tax efficient. Both are. So first answer is capital reduction, no action being planned for, is not required. Second is the question of RBI recommendations versus guidelines. First, let me confirm your interpretation is right. As of now, we can sell 25% of our shares. We can. And just having the ability does not mean that we intend doing it. We have steadfastly said that we are following a particular strategy. Under that strategy, there is no reason to believe. There is no reason to believe that there are obstacles or doubts which will allow us to execute that strategy. As I mentioned in my opening comments, we may be a month here and a month there. You have asked a question that is there a specific deadline. See, now, we all are cricket fans in India. We know the second test match we will win. Whether it will happen after lunch, after tea, we don't know. But we know it will happen. We are confident as we speak that there is no reason to believe that RBI guidelines will not come out soon. And therefore, we will continue our dialogue with RBI. This is a very hypothetical question. And hypothetically, the answer is, if we get a definite answer from RBI saying that such an act of they will not allow us to go down to zero, which is not likely. It's a hypothetical situation, therefore this answer is also hypothetical. In that scenario, there are options, and we'll take those options under the guidance of our board. So as of now, I want to repeat and convince you, we are having some sort of dialogue with RBI. There is no reason to believe that RBI is not coming out with any or is coming out with any direction which is contrary to our statement till now. Okay, so let's take that at least a month or two. We will still have a look at, and sure we'll be in constant touch with RBI to see which direction things are moving.
Okay, thank you.
Manish, are you done with the question?
Yes, thank you.
Please.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Sumit Chaudhary from Zaba. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Hi, and congratulations for the great performance in the AMC side. A couple of questions. The first is just trying to understand this capital reduction bit. So essentially, that will come into play if you could be allowed by RBI to give in specie dividend of your holdings, right? Effectively, that's how you could do capital reduction in a tax efficient manner?
So can I just say this application was made sometime in December. So the answer is no, you can't do in specie distribution. That is treated the same as dividend, and therefore from tax perspective, it will be no difference whether cash or in specie. Now, I don't exactly know which section of the Act, but I can assure you in species difference doesn't care. When this capital reduction was planned, that was in December 2019, we had the money from selling off some of our other subsidiaries. If you recollect, we had IDF Infrastructure Debt Fund, we had some in institutional broking, all that money was there, which was subsequently that money got used up in the when the bank raised capital, we were regulatorily obliged to use things. So this capital reduction as of now is not to be acted upon, as I mentioned in my last answer. But if required, if we have to pay, we see our NOFHC does not, it's getting into too much detail, but let me share it. NOFHC does not have profit reserves. So this will come into play once we can become profit reserves and we want to push money up, which may happen, okay? So this will come into play at that point in time. But the quantum will be much larger than that scenario whenever it happens. So I think you need not worry too much on that particular aspect. In December 2019, it was relevant. It is no longer relevant in February 21.
Understood. Fair enough. And, second question is, I noticed now basically at the holdco level, you are basically debt-free, right? After this quarter's results.
Yes.
Now, question is basically, if the bank wants to raise further capital, it sounds you are under no obligation to subscribe. So how should we think about your balance sheet in that scenario? Would you want to lever up at the parent level to kind of maintain your 40% stake, or are you happy to let others participate in the growth?
See, our objective, we take everything in the view of the strategy which we have defined for. First of all, we are under no regulatory obligation to maintain 40%. Period. Okay. I think that tells everything. Of course, specific actions, etc., under the guidance of the board we will take, but we have no regulatory obligation to maintain 40%. And our it is sooner rather than later and whenever possible to give shareholders through a tax compliant method ownership of the bank directly, and that will take a little bit of time.
Fair enough. And just to the second point, right, to your stated strategy, I guess, of course, timelines, as you said, are a function of when RBI kind of eventually comes up with its final guidelines, etc. So two questions. One would be, of course, based on your discussions or based on your expectations, do you expect it to be a matter of weeks, months, considering already a month and a bit has passed since the consultation got closed? Second, there are other hoops that need to be crossed, I guess, to get the eventual outcome, including possibly, hiving of the AMC business. And, again, congratulations on how that's behaved with the profit run rate itself, starting to somewhat justify your market cap already, it seems. So what do you think about the unlocking of value from the AMC bit while we are waiting for the other outcome?
Yes, it's part of the overall strategy. So it's whatever is required will be done to achieve the desired outcome of giving you direct ownership in the bank. I know, so whatever needs to be done will be done. So that is why it's important to see what the RBI recommendations translate into guidelines. So, and I don't have the answer in terms of whether it will happen in days or weeks or months, but I estimate, and this is purely a guesstimate, my guess is as good as yours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So I hope to see some answers before the end of this fiscal.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. But then once that answer comes, I mean, current guidelines basically allow you to collapse the structure. I mean, if the current recommendations of IWG are to be adopted, but then for that the holdco needs to become basically proper, like just a holdco, right? Without any other business, including the AMC holding. So, any thoughts on that bit? Would you want to be prepared ahead of the already? But it sounds like you're already in motion to, or would already want to be, want to monetize AMC if that needs to be done in an accelerated way. Is that a fair assumption to be made?
Repeat, we will do whatever is necessary.
Got you. Okay. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. That is on the line of Rajiv Pathak from GEC Holdings. Please go ahead.
Hi Sunil, hi Bimal. Sunil, on your analogy of we are being ready with seatbelt on and just ready for the waiting for the ATC to signal. So in the meantime, we need to get our engine started, all the mechanics checked. So where are we on those kind of things on the AMC part? So have we started talking with the advisors, appointing merchant bankers, and in what stage are we on that particularly? Because it's been some time now that we have been waiting for this.
Yeah, so we are, those are offline conversations. I mean, we are prepared, and I have just answered that question. And the other side, whatever needs to be done, will be done. You don't want to be ahead of the curve also. You don't want to be behind the curve. We spoke about RBI, right?
Yeah.
We are in a financial services space. Other than RBI, there is another regulator, specifically since we are talking about AMC. That regulator, you all know, is SEBI. Okay? We all of us, I can't take specific examples, but we all of us in the market, I presume, are aware that there is a large engineering and construction company which has been in this pursuit of trying to monetize or unwind some of its financial services businesses, and that item has not progressed for last 3-4 months, if not more. So our the way we are working upon is it will happen whenever, say, in the next 6 to 9 months. Either we plan better upfront, or we do things and then wait for things to happen, which is outside your control. So we are following the former one. We are focused on planning and communication with the concerned regulator to see what is appropriate outcome, which will smoothen the outcome in the latter months. So I think I've given whatever best I could compare. I'm saying that we spoke of RBI and certain regulations. In the AMC space, we still have a regulator called SEBI. And in the SEBI space, we need to be clear. It would be very helpful and it will smoothen the process once we know the outcome of SEBI, that specific transaction with SEBI. I'm told SEBI is looking at it.
Okay. So means the SEBI is looking at our proposed transaction. Am I understanding it right?
No, not our. I was talking about a large engineering conglomerate.
Okay. So in that context,
it will set the precedence. Let me put it that.
Okay. Got your point. But since this RBI guidelines will actually pave the way for the holdco and the collapse structure, but you will need to empty the holdco before you collapse. So RBI guidelines may come say by March end, but during that phase, can we prepare ourselves on the
Yes,
AMC?
the answer is yes. Net practice बहुत कर चुके हैं. Okay, there, and just since we are talking and this thing, it is not AMC and others are the. See, we have already done the big ones, IDF, the security. So this is not happening in the last 6-9 months. We have been preparing for this for the last at least 2 years, and there are still some 1 or 2 things hanging around within the IDFC Limited. So we are working on what we call it internally, decluttering the structure. That work is already on and progressing on it. So AMC is coming up again and again because it is the most valuable asset. The others are of inconsequential numbers, but they still hang around. So from a regulatory perspective, there are many steps to be taken, and we are focusing on them.
So any particular timeline, because markets have been buoyant this time around, so we want to capture it. So any particular timelines that you may have in mind?
Our timelines, as I said just a minute ago, is as early as possible. But if you want me to put a timeline, everything should be over by March 22.
March 22, you meaning the final thing, but on the AMC front?
Final thing.
But on the AMC front, any particular blocks that you may have?
We don't have specific timelines on that, but all, as I said, I've given enough analogy, and I've also told you, a better prepared person will be able to pick up continuing the cricketing analogy. The last few overs, you can always pick it up probably as long as you have understood what the pitch is doing. So it will happen. If the total timeline is say a year, say March 22, including the final thing, within that everything is parallel, no?
True. Okay, thank you so much, and let's hope we all hit double tons then.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Aditya Singhania from Enam Holdings. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, Sunil, Bimal. Hi. Sunil, I had 2 questions, both on the AMC. This quarter we note a very significant improvement in both the revenue margin as well as the operating profit of the AMC. So could you explain what's going on there, and is this like the first signs of operating leverage, and can we expect more of that in the coming quarters? And B, in continuation with the earlier discussion, assuming we have a monetization of the AMC, let's say even for a moderate, 4,000 crores, what would be the tax impact of that, on IDFC?
So the first question was, can you just repeat the first part of the question? Second part I can answer. We have some carry forward losses. Okay. See, I cannot put a number out there, but I can say that we have carry forward losses. So the tax impact will not be directly in proportion. Our cost is about 800 or 900 crores. We don't know the final X, but the index cost is closer to 2,500. So X minus 2,500 is उसके ऊपर जो भी tax लगेगा.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, the first question was that this quarter we see 17%.
I got it. Now this is the big operating leverage playing out, and thanks to Vishal, you got to give credit to the whole team out there.
Right.
The revenues, the AUM builds up, and once the AUM builds up, the revenue starts coming. Because if you take the average AUM has been growing, and therefore last quarter, the graphs are there, right? So I'm willing to state on behalf of Vishal, okay, we are just beginning to see the growth in the profits. Will it grow every quarter? No way. No way meaning I'm not expecting. We need to bat like a test match, not like T20, okay? So depending on we have a strategy in the AUM place. We are very focused to ensure that our credit quality is not compromised. And that is what our brand stands for. So we will not take any action just because we want to grow AUM. That you can rest assured. Okay, that's why in my opening comments I had mentioned non-cash. We have been focusing on improving the margins. We are not playing the rank game because then you can squeeze your margins down and become 9, 8, 7. That's not the game. The game and the focus and the strategy is focused on I have said this, I don't want to, I'll say it in open line also for all I care. Top line is vanity. Bottom line is sanity. Cash is the only reality. That's the strategy which I've been sharing with my AMC team, and they have done very well. Operating leverage is the answer. It just started to, it is kicking in. It kicked in earlier also. So we should expect things to grow and improve as now markets, if they continue in this thing, obviously things will be happier off. But you must be also aware that net cash in the equity is still negative. The market is, this is what we think, and you can have your own hypothesis. We think that because of lockdown and everybody's become a mutual fund investor. In the sense, everybody's become a fund manager. People are buying, selling directly. So cash coming into equities in the mutual fund space, net cash is negative still. So we hope that once the things become steady and people get more comfortable with the corona or COVID-19 space, the cash inflow into mutual fund space will improve. And so today, whatever gains we are seeing are all mark-to-market gains, not cash flow inflow. We've been able to maintain, but net cash flow into the AMC, not only ours, but the whole industry has been negative for the equities.
Thanks, Sunil. So just to follow up on this, now that you're making significant profits and cash flows in the AMC, what would be the cash balance at the AMC, and is there any thought to dividend it up to IDFC shareholders?
Oh, it's not large enough to 50 पैसे का डिविडेंड देके क्या फायदा यार, ₹1 भी नहीं होगा. तो 94-98 में नहीं है. The game is much bigger.
That's right. Okay. Thank you, Sunil.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amish Kanani from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, sir. Sir, two related questions. One is, sir, the guidelines are in public domain, and there is a public comments, of.
So stop before I say. I wish it was guidelines. The recommendations are in public.
Recommendations, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, sir, at least those recommendations are clear that structures like us, it's easier to reverse merge and collapse. But I think one of the, also. One of the counterparty would be IDFC Bank, which may or may not want to, probably give us that kind of exit. So, I don't know how much you can comment, but just I wanted your thoughts, sir, on, one, whether we'll be able to reverse merge or not is a function of RBI's final guideline versus the RBI's IDFC first board decision of whether that happens or not. And in that context, sir, our AMC, which again, as you said, is the second largest value driver. Is it possible to share that at least one of the structure, the shareholders will get a clean exit, so to speak, which is monetizing, paying tax and dividend route versus, clean exit of direct ownership. Is it possible to share whether at least in one of the two that will happen, or that is also contingent in the sense that, strategic sale of AMC and dividend versus, the reverse merger of banks? If you can share some thoughts, will be helpful. I know it's a lot of ifs and buts, but whatever you can share. Thanks.
See, if you paint the scenario the way you have done, I mean, it's a valid scenario, but the thing is, unless you go out and play just to make an assumption, but first of all, I must say it is true that RBI conversion of RBI recommendations into guidelines is an enabler. It just removes the regulatory hurdles or rules around it. That does it. When I was in school or college, it is called. It is a necessary condition, but not a sufficient condition. Okay, that is correct. Now, the second phase of that will be discussion with, or rather, voting by the bank shareholders. I can only tell you there is no formal, there is no reason, because the bank shareholders are not, how should I put it, are not at adverse position. Today, instead of one entity concentrated holding 40%, having a voting right of 26%, by the way, instead of one entity, they'll have 4 lakh shareholders, or whatever is my number of shareholders. So they are not adversely impacted. This is a question of a negotiation out there, okay? So without even going through the negotiation and starting the process, it's too much of a presumption to make an assumption, but directionally that is where we are heading, okay? And there is no, can it happen? Can England win today? Maybe. But likelihood is, now if, and I do not deny that there is a small probability that the bank shareholders may not vote. But then I am saying it's a question of negotiation, okay? At some give or take, it will become interesting for it. तो उसका मैं अभी कैसे जवाब दे दूं कि 5% डिस्काउंट दूंगा कि 5-7 दूंगा कि 2% दूंगा ये तो it is once you're sitting on the table we'll only come to that point in.
So we got a hint, sir.
So I see, look, in life you can't only draw the tail risk always in life. तो फिर वो कहानी नहीं होती है. उस वक्त अगर हुआ भी, let's come to that solution, issue position. There regulatory prohibition, nothing says that 40% I have to maintain, 25 आज भी जा सकता हूँ, और अगर regulator ने हाँ बोल दी तो 0 भी जा सकता हूँ, except that it won't be through a reverse merger. Only a reverse merger requires me to seek the permission of bank shareholders. And I am saying unnecessarily why paint out a picture which is improbable in my mind, and everybody will see people are rational.
Sure, sir.
Okay. And having one concentrated, because now put yourself, suppose you are a bank shareholder also. Now if the reverse merger is not there, what is my option? I'll sell shares.
Will have. Yes, sir. Yes.
Do you want that as a bank shareholder?
Yeah. It could be value destructive. I agree, sir.
Yes. So there is a saying, to cut the nose to spite the face. ऐसा नहीं होता. People are very rational. People are very logical about it. So we will talk it out, and there has been no reason to believe in the negative space of this thing. So bottom line is one thing, whether in the most optimal way or the second best optimal way, there is no reason for IDFC Limited to continue with this current structure. Either one or both will take place.
Okay. That helps. Thanks a lot, and all the best, sir.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. That is from the line of VP Rajesh from Banyan Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for the opportunity, and congratulations on a very good set of numbers on AMC. So 2 questions on the business. You said that the business is obviously showing operating leverage now. And my question is, can we assume that the PAT of 40 crores is going to be sustainable, and to the extent obviously markets are in decent shape? Is that a good assumption?
It's a fair assumption. Vishal is not on the line right now. He would always argue that these are. No. Let's put it this way. My team is a wonderful team, and there is no reason. See, अब कल को आपका market 52,000 से सीधा 35,000 पहुंच गया तो फिर that's so it is a function of the market also, but it is a reasonable assumption. Let me put it that way.
Right. Okay. And then my second question is, we lost a little bit of market share on the equity side. So is that a conscious decision, or there is something else going on, and we are focusing more on the fixed income side?
No, our performance. There is no, for us, both sides are, whichever side gives us the revenue, it's a game of operating leverage. बहुत हर बॉल पे थोड़ी ना रन बनता है, कभी थोड़ा so no, it's just part and parcel of doing business. Our performance in the last 1 year in the equity space has been very good. Of course, fixed income has been always like the best we have. So our brand does much better in the fixed income space. So I can't. There is no specific reason. मतलब आप खेल रहे हो तो कभी बॉल मिडिल में लगता है, कभी साइड में जाता है. वो there is no reason. There's nothing there. There's no conscious decision of any shift in strategy. Our strategy continues to be to provide the best value, both in debt and equity, and be conservative in our approach in debt.
Right. And my next question is that given we have sold off all the major assets aside from AMC, what is the current cash on the balance sheet now? And I'm assuming there is no debt, right? Or if there is debt, if you can share that.
There is no debt. The current cash is minimalistic, maybe 35-40 odd crores. That's it. That's working capital.
Right. And there is no other piece that needs to be sold, right? Aside from...
No economic interest, छोटे-मोटे इधर-उधर पड़े हुए हैं, which we need to address, which we are addressing.
Okay.
Nothing which affects us economically.
Right. So on the AMC front, given your comments regarding the other transaction that is pending in terms of SEBI, have you approached SEBI directly to get some inclination as to what your plans are and what is their view on those plans?
No. You don't work with regulators like that.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Again, I said that leave the execution part to us and have that much of faith in this management. We'll deliver.
No, of course. I mean, there is no doubt about that. I think you have been very consistent in your commitment to deliver shareholder value over the last 1.5, 2 years. So there is no doubt about that. I was just curious if you had already...
regulator has to work. You have to understand how the regulators work, and it's more of an art and science out there. So at an appropriate time, when things have happened, when things are warm, it has to be a specific question. You can't just generally go. There is no policy decision, by the way, from their side. If they make a policy decision about who's an eligible sponsor, life would be much easier. जब तक आप हमारे देश में काम करोगे, आपको ये थोड़ा ग्रे एरिया लेके ही चलना पड़ेगा.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sneha from Shipcom Ventures. Please go ahead.
So only one question. AMC have already answered. IDFC Bank is planning to raise money. Any idea where they're expecting that money to be deployed?
No, ma'am. It was only yesterday some board meetings being fixed up on Thursday, and no, I have no idea. But I'm sure the CEO will know if he has sent out a request. So the answer is no. I don't know.
Okay, got it. And AMC have cleared it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is with the line of Ashish Kumar from Infinity Alternatives. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Sunil, and I will not get into the AMC or the bank. you've talked enough about it. Just to understand, are there any other liabilities which can potentially impact the sum of parts evaluation if one were to look at different scenarios that we should need to be aware about?
Go through our balance sheet and we can discuss this. See, there in many places there are no direct liabilities, let's put it that way, but there are some contingent liabilities. We don't really know which way it will pan out. It is part of the overall package which we will be, when we talk to the bank, because everything is going to move to the bank, right?
Right.
So there are no direct liabilities. There are some contingent issues which every company has. So we'll see how it plays out.
All right. And second one
was, you can read about it in our balance sheet, and maybe even it's specifically, because this is not the forum to discuss every line item out here.
Sure. No, I just wanted to figure out if there is a problem that you have.
We have repaid the loan. There's nothing out there. So contingent, boss, I mean, there is no company on earth which doesn't have tax-related issues on their books.
Yes.
No company in India.
That's true. So anyway, that was one. And second thing is a potentiality wherein AMC you can look at a majority share of AMC and the remaining shares can be distributed in situ to shareholders. That's something which is part of.
We have evaluated. A good question. We have done the evaluation that I am advised by people who know much more than you and I put together that the definition does not meet a business undertaking, and therefore giving in species or spinning out the whole thing. There is a question of who is going to be the promoter. We have looked at all of that, boss, and we can run offline. As of now, that is not a viable option. Let me put it that way.
So I'm saying, let's say, for example, you do a 51% sale and a 49% listing, because that deals with some of the cash losses issue, and second thing is it.
Oh, no. Then, yeah, I've done it. Let me see. Whatever you hold, then assuming RBI is allowing you to reverse merge,
yeah,
then that becomes a roadblock out there. You read see again, at this point in time, these are recommendations, but recommendations do talk. I think
we need to wait for the final guidelines in which ways.
He had asked that question, and the recommendations do talk of that IDFC Limited has to be only a holding company of the bank, or rather NOFHC to be more exact. Non-operating financial holding company which cannot have any other financial services assets, etc., etc. I mean, we are now discussing set of recommendations where they will come out on guidelines. But again, I'm saying the way it is written in English, it's very clear.
Okay. I guess let's wait for the next quarter to understand what the final guidelines are.
Yeah, I think.
Thank you.
A little bit of patience, all of you guys, will be very helpful to all. I know we are all eager, so am I, but this calls for batting a little bit patiently.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. That is on the line of Krish Kotari from Shinobi Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi. Could you tell me on the AMC which products are seeing incremental demand both on the equity and fixed income sides?
It's been, sorry, I don't have specific products, but both are doing appropriately well in their space. See, we have a plethora, plethora is the wrong word. We have a bouquet of products. So there's no one single product which went up. So it's all across. There is a pipeline of new products which are being introduced depending on what the market requirements are. So it's just that the total AUM on an average was 120. Okay. So and we were focused on ensuring that we don't do business only for the sake of increasing AUM. So there has been a lot of focus on ensuring that the margins, a certain amount of money we make whether it's debt or equity, and that is how it has resulted in this. And all things being equal, I think we have hit a run rate of 40 crores, and I'm very hopeful that we should be able to stick to that number. अब plus minus 1, 2, 3 इधर उधर होता रहता है, कभी ज़्यादा हो गया, कभी कम हो गया, but broadly we have reached a certain level. So a little bit of consolidation can take place at this level, and then we'll see what new products can be brought in. Not that there is too much of things which are going on, but we are constantly innovating both in product, distribution, and type of marketing to create the awareness. And you have seen we are consistent about our strategy. So to answer your question, there is nothing specific which has changed.
Okay, got it. And my other question, the one-off costs that you had at the group level, can you tell me what the rupee amount is, and what were the nature of these costs?
No, so as we are doing cleanup, so these are one-time costs because we sold certain assets. It may be carried at a book value of XYZ. So, but yeah, if you can write specifically, I'll get my CFO to answer that.
Just if there's just a rupee amount that you have, and how much of it would be in this quarter versus the 9 months?
So quarterly results में होगा ना boss. मेरे पास I don't have them in front of me right now. So what is the specific question? Why don't you just drop in an email and we'll answer that if it's possible.
Okay, sure.
Because in the IDFC level, there are hardly any operating expenses. Yeah, there will be some one-off losses because we have sold off certain assets. So OPEX is quite steady. We have only 6 or 7 people here in IDFC Limited.
Right, exactly. No, that's why I just wanted to know the nature of these costs. That's fine. I can send an email, not a problem.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shreyansh Mehta from Shree Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Most of the questions are already answered, but I'm encouraged to ask a very simple thing. If you can give us some understanding about what could be the AMC valuation in current market conditions for both the possible options. One is of, listing the AMC on stock exchanges as well as selling it off.
Hey, boss, I can't answer that question because it's a pure guesstimate. Your guess is as good as mine. The only thing I can answer is we have a quarterly run rate of 40 crores of PAT. That I can tell you. Now, what multiple you want to apply is your choice.
No, the reason why I asked is that you must be in discussion with, merchant bankers and all, and there must be some kind of range. Definitely, no one can hold you for this, but some indicative range that if you have.
Hey, boss, I request you. I cannot answer that specific data point.
No problems. Another thing which you had mentioned in the discussion was that there is, some decluttering of the structure required, and a couple of things hanging in the IDFC. So, which are those, and how do we plan to go about that?
Yeah, these are some small assets which are more than the bank regulatory requirement. See, bank, we are assuming we are going ahead to reverse merge with the bank. That's an assumption as of now. So bank is allowed to hold 10%, so we may be holding 20% or more. There are, the big one is, and it's a structure, we know something, a Section 8 company called IDFC Foundation. It has that's why I kept repeating, it has no economic value. So, but we have to find a structure or an answer for that. So there is this IDFC Foundation.
Fine. I think it's really very insightful to understand that you've been consistently talking about how best you will be unlocking the shareholder valuation. And maybe in a month or two, we will look forward to getting ample clarity from your side. Wishing you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you to all on the line. I'm saying I'm now getting repeated questions on the same lines, and I can only assure all of you that we are steadfastly focused on doing the right thing in a manner. So please go ahead. For interest sake, let's try and ask something different, helpful that way for all on the line, if there is anything, because I think the general concern area has been addressed. So next one, please.
Thank you. The next question is in the line of Rajiv Malhotra from HCPL Parts Company. Please go ahead.
Hi, Sunilji and the team. I think these are fabulous numbers. For the AMC, that's a very significant part of the current IDFC Limited business. Wouldn't it be great if you can share more details in the presentation?
I get that feedback. What I will do, we used to do it, and for some reason we made a small thing. I'll have the CEO come in next time, and he'll be able to share much more color, the specific items. I think it's a good suggestion. We have noted it.
Right. And secondly, this has been taken up by other participants also. Our personal feeling is that the IDFC AMC business is great and worth owning, possibly at some level worth owning more than the bank, right? But it could be an individual situation. So I would urge the board to kind of go ahead to try to get the AMC as a separate company. I mean, we don't really need to sell it or get in a special investor in. Just as is, it's a great company. So that's my second kind of suggestion, comment /
I hear you, and I said, look, we have to. There is an overall goal and objective, which is to create maximum value for the shareholders within a regulatory compliant and tax efficient manner. As long as within that we can find options which will allow us to maximize that value, we will consider everything. And all I am trying to say at this point in time that we have done some homework. Right. At this point in time, we have not been able to come up. See, laws change. It's not that laws are written in absolute stone. So if there is any opportunity which allows us to continue, there is no reason for us to move in that direction. We love our business. We love the people. The people are the greatest asset any company can have. And therefore, I will just say that the overall objective is what we will continue to focus on. And within that objective, whatever best possible options are there, we will explore. Not only the management, we are seeking guidance from anybody, including potential advisors, or even if you have an idea, we are more than open. We are not a closed company. We are more than open to listen, talk, evaluate. But the end objective, I am not able to. That is given.
Right. So possibly we'll send you a note offline. Please give it a thought.
And we'll, as I said, this is not the only forum we talk at. If anybody has any suggestions and ideas, please, you will send us a note. We can discuss it offline. This forum is there to address everybody's, whatever is the common thing. And I appreciate it, all these questions and suggestions. I think having Vishal on the call is a helpful thing, and we'll do it next quarter.
Right. Yeah. Lastly, I hope as a promoter of IDFC First Bank, we are in relative control of the board. There seems to be a question.
So let's get this. The board we have one seat on the board. Okay. Right. There are many other constraints. For example, the proportion of independent directors, risk directors, and it is 50% as against a common space, and all directors have to be approved by RBI. So it's not a standard. But let me answer the board is competent.
Right.
I'm talking of the bank board. With competent people on the board, is a strategic direction, not only for us as a promoter, it's a wrong word, we are just partners, of increasing the value of the bank. Now, in that, and you see the numbers. Retailization is a strategic alignment we all at the board have agreed. And the CEO is working fabulously, fantastically to ensure that utilization of the liability side and the asset side takes place. And within a short period of a year, a few months, you are seeing the results. So I don't believe that having a more number of seats on the board is of any consequence, as long as you have got the right team executing it and you have the right strategy. The strategy is clear. Now, if COVID nahi hota, we could have been much better off. This, that, those are things which we can't take. But I am saying that the board is very competent and the management is competent enough to execute, and the strategy is very clearly defined, and we are working on towards becoming a retail bank.
Right. So great, thank you. The note will come to you. Do give it a thought whenever possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the last question. I now hand the conference over to the management for the closing comments.
Thank you, everybody, and we encourage you to drop in a line, and please, we will answer everybody's questions. Thank you, and stay safe. COVID is not over. Please stay safe.